In earlier modules, we discussed pre-publication considerations and archiving versions of your published works in repositories. But how can you actually promote this research? How do you make it visible to others to maximize its impact? In this final module, let's talk about promoting and sharing your works. If possible, you'll want to ensure that there's a functional, permanent link to a full-text version of your work when you're promoting. As we discussed earlier, this can be done either by publishing in an open access journal or by archiving your work in a reputable repository. With a permanent link, you can promote your works through social media and academic social networking. But first, a disclaimer. You can't do everything. You're certainly very busy, so you'll want to think about prioritizing and which platforms will bring you the most value. If you try to do everything, you'll quickly become overwhelmed. So you need to be selective when choosing the appropriate venues to promote your work. The first thing you need to consider before you select a sharing platform are your objectives. What are you hoping to achieve by promoting your work? It's often worthwhile to write a concise explanation of your research in plain language that's suited towards your audience. So, for example, if you're hoping to reach elementary school stakeholders with your research, it's essential to consider the needs and understanding of this particular audience while writing a short summary. If you'd like your research to get picked up by the media, consider how your results could affect media consumers. It might need to be made a little bit more exciting and a lot simpler for this particular audience. Think it through. How would you write for policymakers, practitioners? Also consider how you can make your work visually appealing. A nice graphic can do wonders to draw attention to your work. Let's take a look at the many different platforms that you can use to promote your work. There's so many options that this module will barely scratch the surface, but it will give you some options to consider. First, Facebook. You probably already have a personal Facebook account, but you can also create a separate author page specifically to promote your research. If you have a neat book cover or a really unique image from your paper, you could use that as your cover photo. Invite your friends and colleagues and ask them to share as well. It might start out slowly, but if you regularly engage with the page and post updates on your research and current events, and sometimes add just a bit of personal information to allow followers to connect with you, you'll quickly gain followers. Remember, keep it simple, direct, and interesting. 1/3 of all researchers are now active on Twitter. It's easy to use and a great way to reach a wide audience. With Twitter, you'll want to represent yourself, not your work. You can easily share a DOI in a tweet. Twitter will force you to keep your summaries brief, so think about how you can condense your works in only 280 characters. The best way to recruit a following is to locate hashtags common in your areas of expertise and tag your works with these hashtags to connect yourself with this audience. Engage your audience with questions, and don't forget to tag people who might be interested in the work. That includes your peers, funders, potential collaborators, and even the media. Be responsive and keep it simple, fun, and engaging. And of course, a lot of researchers have found that a personal website or blog is a great way to promote their research in a way that's comprehensible outside of academia. It's a good way to open up a conversation about your research and good practice for perfecting explaining your research in plain language. Make sure it's visually appealing. A librarian can help you get started if you don't feel comfortable setting up an engaging research site on your own. WordPress, a popular web platform, can be used for free through U of SC Create Digital, a service offered through the library. Just to reinforce the message, these platforms all work best if interconnected with each other. Tweet and share on Facebook your blog post or your YouTube videos. Of course, one of the most popular and effective ways of promoting your research is to expose it through academic social networking sites like ResearchGate and academia.edu. So, what are academic social networks exactly? They're sites that are designed to connect researchers with common interests and encourage you to share your works. They are not repositories for your work, and most have no long-term preservation policies like many of the repositories mentioned in the previous module. What that means is that you don't want to rely on these sites to store your works over the long term, and you don't want to rely on them to fulfill grant mandates. It's essential to understand that when you share works with others through these sites, you must abide by legal sharing policies, whether you're posting the full text for anyone to access or sharing upon request. However, this doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad or that you shouldn't use them. There's an important place for sites like ResearchGate and academia.edu, as long as you're careful with what you share and read the terms of use and privacy policies. These can be very useful for connecting with your peers, finding collaborators for your projects, sharing information about what you're working on and your expertise, and engaging in academic discussions. A lot of researchers choose to use one or the other or both of these sites for that reason. They're also both fairly intuitive and make uploading your works easy, and are very useful tools for the promotion of your work. Again, it's not necessary to promote your work through all of these different avenues. It's all about balance, so pick the ones that you're able to use in the time you have to dedicate to sharing and promotion without becoming overwhelmed. You've now worked through all of the modules of our series on author rights. If you have additional questions or would like to request a consultation, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help.